What's going on, Vigilante World? It's your guy SPEC Civilian, and we are back with another video. First things first, I want to give a shout out to all my viewers, subscribers, and Patreon supporters for making this a home to catch some content before you make a purchase. Much gratitude to BCA for sponsoring the channel, allowing me to feed my firearms to bring you content. Be sure to click on the link in the description and use the channel code to rack up some rounds. Today I'm bringing you another episode of 75 Live. In today's episode, we're actually going to be diving into the CZ P-10 Comp. Now, this is just a suppressor-ready P-10C that actually has a comp on it, but it is not the competition model that they have. So that is just to distinguish the two differences, but it's super affordable and it has so much to offer in terms of making sure that you can maintain it and update this gun to really have anything that you want. So let's get into it. All right, Vigilante World, let's get into what you get out of the CZ P-10C comp. Now, real quick, safety check. Alright, so right at the top, as you can see, this gun does come optic ready, and that's one thing that's actually cool about the base of this gun. You can actually get one that's non-optic ready, or you can get one that's optic ready. If you do end up getting one that is optic ready, it does actually come with a replaceable plate. So that's one thing that's actually super solid about this gun, regardless of even being able to have an optic on it. Now, out of the box, you're going to get some 3-dot sights. I ended up opting for a black serrated rear with a front fiber optic sight because that is the main one that I end up training with, and so at the end of the day it's just most comfortable for me, and that's the best thing about sights. At the end of the day, they're easily swappable. You can train as comfortable as you want with whatever sights that you like. As you can see right at the top, I ended up going with the 507 comp as my optic just because it had the perfect window for these suppressorite sights. It ended up just meshing really well for the comp style gun, and so that's one thing that I can appreciate out of this gun here. Now, the gun does come with front and back slide serrations. At the top, you will be able to see it is tri-topped. You can actually still acquire the sights even though it doesn't have any type of serrations right at the top. But one thing that's really cool about CZs in general is that they have an amazing aftermarket, so you can actually get work done to where you have, you know, ports, the top slide window, more aggressive cuts, and things like that. That's just kind of the best thing about having a CZ. Now, you're going to get a little bit under a 5-inch barrel with this style of gun if you do opt to go with the suppressor ready model. If you didn't want to have the suppressor ready model, you will have a 4-inch barrel, which is the typical carry length for a compact style gun. So you will have the options on that, whichever way you want to go with that. For me, making sure I wanted to fit the overall comp style, ended up going with the suppressor ready model, and then also, of course, throwing a comp on there. Now, you can throw whatever comp, you can throw whatever suppressor on there or whatever thread protector on the overall gun if that's just how you like to run it. I ended up deciding to go with the comp just because, again, for what I'm going to be using this gun for, it's going to be more of a combat style gun. So I wanted to go ahead and be running a little bit heavier loads to actually activate the comp and allow it to have a little bit more fun. If you're not going to be doing all that, you don't have to really worry about having a comp or even having a specific suppressor. And you can still have that whole aesthetic and not have to worry about an overall comp. That's the best thing about this, again, is that you have those options. You do not have to be limited to whatever you do actually get right out of the box, because you got to keep in mind this is going to be a 100% modular setup. You can get whatever you need out of a gun like this, and for me, I wanted a combat master style gun that I can make a little bit more modular. That way I could carry it or even just make this the one gun I need if so. So let me show you exactly what I mean. And so look at that. You have something that's a little bit more modular that you can carry. With having the original tri-top slide, with having the original front and back serrations, you know for a fact this is still going to be a very functional gun if you wanted to go this route and actually have something that was just a little bit more minimal for what you would need it for. And this is still a great shooter. But back to the comp. All right, so back to the comp. That's the best thing about having a little bit of modularity in a gun like this, to where you can have a combat style gun or you can have an actual carry compact style gun to make sure it can fit whatever needs that you like. As we get on down to the frame, as you can see, it does come with a solid accessory rail. You can put whatever light that you want on here, but you do have to make sure it does fit, because at the end of the day, you do have this solid squared off trigger guard, but it does have this little bump right here to where you have to make sure, again, whatever light that you're going to put on can be adjusted to the overall fitment of the gun. You do have that solid texture right on the front of the trigger guard if you don't actually run a light on your overall gun, and you do have a solid squared off trigger guard with a decent undercut to where you can really grab this gun and get really high up in the gun. And since it has this super solid beaver tail, you can really kind of choke up on it and know for a fact, even if you do get really high in the gun, it's not going to chafe up your thumb or nothing like that. This one, you're really not going to have to worry about that, because I would say the beaver tail that this has really kind of hides your overall thumb where the slide typically runs. You will also have plenty of texture on this gun. Even on the front of the frame, you will have some ambi texture to where you can make sure that it's more of a memory notch on your purchase at the end of the day, but also you know for a fact your hands are in the right place so you can really mitigate recoil. Outside of that, you do get the front and back strap texturing to where it's very aggressive for most, definitely because most other compact guns have something that's a little bit more tailored to carrying it so it doesn't like scratch up your belly or nothing like that, which is interesting because the front and back slide serrations is really where the grip is, but the sides on this thing is really where it's more of that smooth texture. So I think they still consider that, but also gave you a little bit more grip on the gun to where you know for a fact you can really kind of hold this gun down and make sure to maintain those shots. But also you can switch out the overall back strap to where if you do need a better fitment in your hand, you can really do that. To me, this original one feels just like the P-01, so that's exactly why I did that. But also how this beaver tail is allows it to really snap in your hand, and that's one thing I really do love and enjoy about this gun, is that you actually can have this gun fit like a glove. And once you do actually start training with this gun, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Other than that, it does come with a little bit of a flared magwell on the base of the overall frame, but you can actually have a magwell on it or not. It just depends on how you really want to run it, just like the Optic. As you can see, there's a little bit of texture on the mag release, so you can make sure to drop those mags, and it's a really positive ejection to where you can know for a fact those things will fall out and you can load those things in absolutely no problem. One thing about the overall mag release though is that you can actually make it lefty if you like, so it can be ambi, and the overall controls for the slide release are ambi as well. So really you have an overall ambi style gun, you just have to switch out that mag release. So that's kind of the best part about this gun. You don't have to be limited to having a right side safety or a left side safety or anything like that. You can literally take this out whatever hand you're comfortable with and know for a fact you can run and train with this thing. Now it is a little bit more slim of a slide release because this gun is made as a carry gun. So again, they're still thinking about how you're going to be carrying this thing appendix. So if this is rubbing against your belly button or this is rubbing against your side, you're not going to have to worry about overall malfunctions. So just keep that in mind, because even with the mag release, it is a little bit more low profile, but with the texture, it allows you to still be able to hit it even if you don't want to break your grip. They thought about this very well in terms of carrying this pistol, and then having all of the other combat perks added to the loadout really makes this gun shine, in my opinion. Now you do get 15 rounds right out of the box, or if you did want to actually add any type of base plate or mag extension, you actually can. You really have some solid options out there to make sure you can have between 2, maybe even 6+ rounds to really run some solid competitions or whatever you want to train with at the range. Now diving into the trigger, I really want to show y'all something cool about this overall striker fired gun, is that at the end of the day, check this out. Okay, you have your safety because this is trigger safety, but this is your take up here, right? And then you're at a very definitive wall. You got about, I would say 2.5 to 3 pounds of pressure, and you're right through that break, and it's a very sharp break. Then if you go through, that was a very short reset, but also you're right back at the wall. There is no take up. I can release, and then as you can see, it actually left where the wall is, but again, right back at the wall. Take up, reset, there's no take up, right back at that wall. The best thing about that though, this thing feels the closest that it can to any single action only or 2011 trigger. Definitely as a striker fire trigger, that's something I can appreciate, because that's a lot of things that people buy into whenever they are looking for something that's outside of a striker fire gun or outside of a polymer gun. And the fact that you get that in this style of trigger is something that I can appreciate from CZ, to where you really don't have to have the aluminum frame or the steel frame or the 2011 or the single action only. You can literally have a gun to defend yourself and know for a fact this trigger is going to be up to par for what exactly you're going to need it for. So that's kind of the best thing about having a trigger like this, and knowing for a fact this thing is going to be able to run exactly how you need it to run, and know for a fact it's going to shoot on point without any type of hesitation, without any type of problems to disturb your sights, and really react like a real gun should. So let's get off the map, let's talk about it.
Back to it. So as you've seen, this gun is absolutely amazing, and honestly, for a compact gun that has all of these options, really gives you a super fast, super accurate gun that looks absolutely amazing. It's just a beautiful gun, and on top of that, you can always get some solid work done to it if that's something that you like. For me, I opted for that primary machine work with that black nitride finish that just looks so sweet on a gun that's all black. With the addition of those tactical slide cuts, not only does it look super fire, but it functions super well, and I cannot complain about that. Now when you get this gun in the hand, it's so perfect, and it has such a great texture for anyone to just be able to really hold on to this gun. It honestly has bite in all the right places. That's That's kind of what you want out of a compact gun or a carry gun that you might just have to draw. Now, even though this gun is a polymer frame, it has amazing ergonomics. It truly is consistent for a CZ pistol, and honestly might be one of the most ergonomic CZ pistols that I've ever shot. That's one thing that I definitely want to highlight to a lot of people. If you enjoy how a Shadow 2 feels, if you enjoy how a PO1 feels, then you'll definitely enjoy how a CZ P-10C feels, because it is so reminiscent regardless of the actual frame material, but also it points super well. That being said, in terms of performance, sight acquisition with the gun is super easy with those ergonomics, whether you have irons or the optic. Of course, if you have the optic, it's going to be a little bit easier to just pick up a laser or dot. One thing that's really cool about the irons, the gun does shoot point of aim, point of impact, so as long as you line up those sights just right, even if you have iron sights, you'll definitely be able to hit the target. Literally, I was able to warm up and have some of the funnest rounds just shooting the gun. Of course, doing some self-defense trials, I was able to send the target back about 10 yards just to see how it grouped and everything like that. And one thing that I can say for sure is that the gun definitely shows out. I love that whenever you do have a gun that just kind of comes together just right and actually performs, it lets you know that that purchase was just right for you. 10 yards, super solid alpha grouping. Now, one thing I do want to say, I did not zero this optic. Honestly, just took the optic out the box, put it right on my gun just to see how it would perform and how zero it actually was for the gun. And so that's one thing I do just want to kind of highlight and show how the optic is zeroed just a little bit low, but the gun still actually groups super well. Even with long range, the gun likes to have some fun, and honestly, with an optic that's not really zeroed but still able to have a really nice grouping is one thing that I can say out of the P-10C that still shoots and performs super well. Out of 10 rounds, I was still able to get 7 shots on the target at 60 yards, and the optic still drifted low. And so that's one thing that I know for a fact, as long as I actually zero that optic, this gun is going to be able to shoot exactly where I want it to. It's going to be so much more fun once it's really tuned with that optic, because being able to hit 7 out of 10 times at 60 yards is definitely solid for a gun that you can actually just set up, no zero, and know for a fact you can go shoot and hit a target. Now, the trigger on this P-10 is so sweet. It feels so close to a 2011 that I cannot fathom what is going on with this gun and what is going on with, honestly, how sweet this striker fired trigger is. It's just amazing how the take up and the reset is on this overall gun. It's super short, it's super sweet, it's not super light, but it also is crispy, so you can know for a fact you're getting a nice shot. It's just amazing how the gun feels ergonomically, straight to the trigger, knowing for a fact you can be comfortable shooting this gun. I'm telling you, anybody who wants to do any updates or take it out stock will see exactly what I'm talking about. And since they're P-10 mags, you have plenty of capacity to go ahead and see what exactly that's feeling like, because anything from the 15 rounds all the way up to the full-size mags, you're going to be able to run. So just know for a fact you'll be able to have some fun. It can only fit to P-10 mags, so I would not advise you to use any of your 75 mags in this gun so you don't actually mess it up or ruin the reliability of the overall gun. Now, the compensator on this compact gun works super well. It literally makes the handling so easy on this gun. Like, it just sits. It's a solid reason that no one actually needs to go out and buy an actual Combat Master. You can spend so much less money and be able to get something that's super nice just like this. Now, the recoil impulse on this gun is absolutely amazing. It literally shoots like a staccato comp. That's the main thing about this gun, and even it being comped, it really actually works if you have the right setup. And the thing is, with the trigger being super sweet, the ergonomics being super well, it literally just sits. And that's one thing that I can appreciate about this gun, and honestly this entire loadout, and being able to have something that can be, you know, up to par with something that a lot of people pay so much money for. So it's sweet to actually see how a gun that's so much cheaper actually can perform, but also be so fun at the same time. Double taps, silly. This thing literally sits, and that's one thing that, again, is just so amazing and to appreciate about a setup like this, and being able to know for a fact the slide can reciprocate fast enough for the gun to be able to literally get back to zero, and you not worry about missing a shot. You could even let this thing go, optic or not, and this thing will sit. I'm telling you, because truly out of the box the gun shoots super well, and whenever you do have the right perks added to the gun, it can make it so much more fun and actually handle business the way that you want it to. Whether you have a Magwell or not, take this thing out the train and do some mag swaps, and you'll be able to see how easy it is to just load some mags and fire off some rounds. That polymer on the blue magazine makes it super easy to just insert, and it's so positive whenever you need to actually release the mag that you know for a fact you're gonna be able to get your next magazine in there and get running. Now, what's super solid about this gun is that the MSRP on just the Optic Ready model is $449. The MSRP on the Optic Ready Suppressor Ready model is $499. About under $500 is what you can catch the gun, or around $500 is what you can actually catch the gun at. And then you can perk it up and still have a gun that's super amazing and probably a little under or around $1,000 for everything that you really just need to have a combat ready killer. I'm telling you, this thing right here is the reason that people don't really need a Combat Master. That's a $5,000-$10,000 gun when you can spend a little under $1,000 and have something that's literally going to be up to par whether you have a Glock Staccato or not. This is a CZ-P-10 that is way more affordable and offers all the same in terms of performance and being able to get you a super crispy, fast, and accurate gun. And also, this thing looks damn good. You can actually be able to have something that, again, is much more affordable and combat ready for you. So, if you did like this video, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any comments or anything like that, make sure you drop them right down below. I'd like to see what you guys think about this in comparison to even the traditional Combat Master or even other loadouts that are very similar that you guys think are some flat shooters that are much more affordable out there in the world. As y'all know, I got much more content coming for y'all. Other than that, all I gotta say is stay safe, get some ammo. Till next time, y'all.